For every transporter, every box has a pouch, and in this pouch there's a lot of documents.
But now I want to know what's in the pouch. Oh, my heater is on camera. Get out of it, you little butt. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Enterprise Content Show, where we take enterprise content, sprinkle in some AI, add a dash of automation, and somehow make it fun. I'm Will, Chef Will, you can call me. I'm your host, the captain of chaos and lover of great tech stories. And I'm feeling very sad today because my co-host Franzi is not here. Moo! But I'm also feeling very happy today because I have a guest who is like an effervescent energy drink. We're going to pop him in and watch the fizzing and have a lot of fun. So here he is. Hello, RJ.
Yeah,
or Robert Yan, as maybe some people call you.
Not too many. Most people say RJ.
RJ. So RJ, you are one of the founders of Klippa. Is that correct?
True.
Are you
That's
the real
correct.
RJ?
Yeah, and I'm so honored to be on the Enterprise Content Show. It's one of my favorite podcasts.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. I knew you'd be good at this. So a company whose technology we didn't just partner with, we acquired them. So when was that? Was that March this year, RJ? A momentous moment for any entrepreneur and a fantastic moment for the Doxis platform and all of our customers and partners because it's a real supercharger. The engine that you guys have built up there in Groningen in the north of the Netherlands, that wasn't very good, was it? But we'll come back to that in a minute, is really important. So RJ, hello, welcome. Great to have you on the show.
Likewise, happy to be on the show. And if you want, I can share a bit of background story on Klippa, how we came about joining the SCR group, but I'll keep it short.
That would be awesome. The founding story, come on, it's part of any entrepreneurial folklore. So tell us, where did it begin?
I think it began in our CEO's bedroom, to be honest, but he was frustrated managing all these receipts laying around his desk, and he thought this has to improve. And this was 2015, right? So we celebrated our 10-year anniversary 2 weeks ago. So exactly 10 years ago, he had this idea. Yeah, it was a great party. He had the frustration of we need to do something about this receipt chaos. So we brought together a group of people that we know from university, all with different backgrounds and different lines of work. And we started focusing on the receipt problem. So we thought getting rid of paper receipts means we need to create a digital receipt. So we need to connect to point of sale systems and put QR codes and NFC chips there so people can, instead of getting a paper receipt, just, tap your phone and NFC chip and get your receipt digitally. That was the founding idea. But the truth meant hard to find a business model, hard to find funding for it because there was no traction in terms of revenue. And so we felt like either it's going to be a really long adventure or we need to pivot. So we pivoted towards something that's related to receipts, is expense management. So we built a solution for SMEs to do efficient expense management, snapping a picture of the receipt, reading the content, and then doing an approval and sending it to your accounting system. And that's where you already feel extracting data from the receipt. That was the origin. That's where the IDP story starts. So we built our own engine for grabbing information from receipts. And receipts are quite complex because they are super diverse. The quality is often bad of the pictures. So there was a lot of challenges to solve there. And from receipts, we went to all the receipts in the world, and then to invoices, other documents. And the technology that we built is applicable to all document types. So we made another pivot, let's say 5 years ago, towards IDP. Heavily invested also in the marketing there and in the sales engine on our side. Managed to acquire beautiful logos in all parts of the world. After 3-4 years IDP focus, SCR came by, and we felt like it was a big next opportunity for us because it was hard for us to tap into the enterprise world. And SCR is such a big customer base already that it could be a win-win scenario. So
really
here.
lucky moment for us, and a great next stage in the journey. But just for any guests who are wondering, what does IDP mean, and how would you describe it? What does that acronym mean? But also, how would you describe that at a barbecue to a neighbor or a family member? Like, what is IDP?
Yeah. So the acronym is Intelligent Document Processing. And I always describe it, you have unstructured data, meaning pictures or PDFs that you can't work with, and we turn it into something like a spreadsheet or something structured that a machine can read. So document processing means, yeah, you would normally back in the day have a document, you would type it or queue it into a system. Well, that's not intelligent, right? But the intelligence means that a system is able to interpret what's on that document and turn it into usable data.
That is a very elegant definition. Thank you. I enjoyed that.
This is the first time I'm explaining what we do. So, but that's applicable to so many cases. Right? That's the interesting part. That we thought maybe in the beginning it was expense management. Then we saw a lot of these accounts payable cases that felt very like close to our what we knew. But as soon as we started marketing ourselves as intelligent document processing, the world opens up in every industry. There's cases that we never thought of would be solvable by our technology, and that makes also this work and this job so cool that I still talk to many customers or potential customers, and you figure out how many inefficient processes there are.
Love it. And that's really, really juicy stuff that we want to get into any minute now, is all of those like creative, interesting, nerdy, niche applications in the real world, use cases in different industries. That's what gets me excited. And I think it's what we hope excites and interests our guests. Just before we dive into those sort of practical applications and use cases, typically, you've spoken to hundreds, if not thousands, it probably is thousands of customers. What are the typical kind of like value levers that these organizations are hoping to unlock? Like, what's the business case? Because I think when the founding story of Klippa is about a big pile of receipts, paper receipts, and like, surely there has to be a better way. And I think we all feel that emotionally. But then in the world of business and organizations, what are they typically looking to unlock as a result of working with this supercharged technology?
Yeah. So I think you can break it down in three reasons why people look into IDP, and I think the vast majority is efficiency. So saving or better spent human capital, right? So now somewhere in the company, somebody is manually processing a document, queuing it into an accounting system, or writing it down in a spreadsheet. Well, that's very labor intensive and repetitive work that humans shouldn't be doing. And if you solve that by putting a machine instead of a human, then a human can spend time on something more that requires more intelligence or is a more value added service to the company. So often the business case is built around, now we're spending 5 FTE on this task. We can bring it down to 1. These 4 FTEs can either be saved or ideally spent in another department. That's the first.
Got it.
Well, the second, that enables scale. So now companies are often limited to go to a next scale because they cannot sell more or cannot purchase more, cannot process more, and that hampers them in the next phase of scale. So the business case could also be on wasted potential, that if we would have those resources or if we could automate this process, we could double the sales or we could double the revenue. And the third one is a big one, is also compliance. Machines are able to spot errors and spot fraud that a human eye cannot, because it can look into the metadata, it can look into really pixel level analysis. So a company might risk reputational damage or might risk a fine if they don't spot errors, don't spot fraud. Especially this goes in regulated areas like financial services or know your customer kind of onboardings.
Super helpful.
So compliance is the third. Yeah.
So efficiency, scalability, and compliance.
Yeah.
Pow. Love it. All right. Are you ready, RJ, to tell me what your go-to order on a pizza is?
Will. I think
he thought I was going to ask him about verticals.
Yeah, exactly. But I would say ham.
Ham.
I think so.
That is such an unexpected choice, but I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
so I'm not a cheese lover. I'm Dutch, but I don't like cheese, which is surprising to many.
That's wild.
Yeah, and the pizza is difficult. So to get a pizza without cheese, so I often accept the cheese, but then I want something very salty in return.
Got it. And last question before we dive into the real stuff. What did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
helicopter pilot.
Yes, I had a feeling it was going to be in the air.
Yeah. No, my bedroom when I was a young kid was full of posters of Chinook helicopters or Apaches, and I tried
That's
even like
cool.
after I graduated, I chose my studies also with in mind of I have to apply for this military
Yeah.
job. So I applied, but I got rejected, and then I had
Oh
to
no.
start.
Why don't we segue from helicopters, and this is completely unexpected, but transport and logistics,
Okay.
from moving through the air to
Mm,
moving through along ground, along sea, along air,
yeah. Or
transport and
even in the air.
logistics. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an area where there's loads of handoffs, isn't there? That you've got this
Mm,
kind of like global supply chain with loads of very important paperwork being
yeah.
exchanged. What are some of the really common or fruitful areas that you in the journey so far have encountered where
Yeah.
intelligent document processing and the proposition we have at SER, AI.DP in the Doxis platform, like what can that do for an organization that is in transport and logistics?
So I think we can subsegment logistics into road, air, and water, like the three types
Nice.
of transport. And so I think national transport is often already quite modernized. At least they have structured formats that they're, for example, a freight bill like a CMR is often already digitized within national boundaries or even sometimes within Europe countries. So then there's not there's no challenge of going from unstructured files into a structured format. So where we see a lot of application for AI.DP or document processing is when it's either like borders further away. So if you have to import or export something to a non-EU country, also
Right.
Switzerland, then you have a lot of these customs processes where a lot of custom forms need to be filled, or you need to go from your standardized bill of lading into something that goes into another
Mm.
system. So one thing comes to mind when we're talking about air, we like every big airline, also British Airways has their cargo department, and they have for every transport or every box has a pouch, and in this pouch there's a lot of documents. So for example, if you want to, and I never thought about this, but this is the cool thing about this job,
This
you
is
talk to
cool. I
people,
love
they
it. I
say,
didn't even know they had a
let's say
pouch, but now I want to know what's in the pouch.
Will, you want to ship a horse from where you live in Brighton to me in
Yep,
Amsterdam,
it's
then you would
possible.
have to, yeah, it's possible. Then you go to the you go to Heathrow, you bring your horse there, and then they ask
Yep.
you about 20 documents. For example, things like health records, but also vaccination passports from your horse. And
Mm,
these are all documents that you need to physically hand over when you get to the desk and you hand over your horse. And they all put it in a
mm.
pouch. So when the horse arrives in Amsterdam, they can take the pouch and check, hey, is this horse healthy? Was it checked for A, B, and C? And right now, that's all paper based. And so we're building a solution for one of those cargo companies where we create an e-pouch. So instead of a physical pouch with documents inside, we just put a QR code on the
I
box.
love it.
People arrive it, open it, and they have already a digital registry, and not only with the documents, but also with the content inside the documents. So we can already say, this is indeed from Will, and it has vaccination A, B, and C granted, but it doesn't have D.
That's so
Yeah, and
cool.
that's massive efficiency gainer.
You can't lose that pouch, and it's all there digitally. Like, the paper pouch is risky, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, and can connect it to systems. So the document comes out in Amsterdam. Somebody's queuing all that information into a system
Mm.
that's mandatory to do for any shipment. And now we can say we read it, we post 80-90% already inside the receiving system, and the other 10% which might be missing or might be unreadable, we can put aside, and you only spend 10% of the time on actually manually queuing things in.
I love it. So you talked about speed, scalability,
Efficiency.
and compliance,
Yeah,
efficiency, scalability, and compliance. But within efficiency, it's not just like unlocking human resource. There's a speed gain as well as the sort of resource efficiency saving. So we could
yeah,
actually compress timelines, which
yeah.
can be a source of real advantage for organizations, can't it? Like if you can get it done faster,
Mm.
that's an edge.
Yeah, so I never thought about this either, but at the desk where you drop off your goods at an airport, there's often a huge queue because you get there, they ask you for 20 documents, you're still searching for everything, handing it over, they're checking it. And now, before you do the shipment, you already get an email and say, you've got 20 emails, 20 documents to upload to this portal. So you can prepare everything before you arrive. And then you say, yeah, I already put it online, and then you walk away without sending in the queue. So
I love
resolving
it.
those queues means the scalability factor, and also means that they need less people to be at the desk doing all that manual work, but they can actually spend time on welcoming you and asking about how the service is going or exemptions that might appear.
And although your three buckets are undoubtedly right in terms of the benefits and business case of applying IDP, it strikes me from this brilliant example you've given us that there's another one, which is like customer and employee experience. Like the idea that when Henry the horse arrives in Amsterdam, I've already got like a text message telling me everything's done and everything's processed, or the experience for the humans involved could be dramatically improved as well. You're making me think about those aha moments you have when a natively digital company comes into an industry that's been really lazy about transformation. So you must see a lot of the work that has happened over the years must have been tied to digital transformation efforts, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly. We're often just one part of the chain, right? So in this process I just described with the cargo, what we are doing is reading all those vaccination passports and bill of ladings and putting into a system. That's our capability. But there's other systems and people involved that do other part of the digitization journey. That's also why the partnership with Doxis is so great, because this document also has to be archived, has to be managed, access rights has to be managed. So it's not just IDP that plays a role there, but there's many other solutions that come together in such a project.
That's right. We will just do a very small commercial interlude and just explain that the technology that Klippa has developed is now the IDP engine enhancing the Doxis platform. And that means that it's not just processing documents, but it's also a piece that Klippa didn't previously do, which is like storing them compliantly, controlling access rights and all of that. So you're now not just that kind of like early part of the process. We together provide that end-to-end customer journey. Now let's switch industries, RJ, and let's go to financial services. So document heavy, compliance, regulation. Tell us a little bit about what you've seen on the front lines with smart or creative applications in financial services.
Yeah, so financial services for me are the banking, insurance, payment service providers. They are heavily regulated, and I think here the compliance factor is the biggest driver. It could also be efficiency, but often they are mostly scared of the fines. So even yesterday, I was visiting one of our customers here in Netherlands. They're a payment service provider, and they have to check every seller of a good, whether they are not money laundering or financing terrorism.
Right.
And with these checks, whether the seller is a consumer or a business, they have a lot of checks to do. So, for example, we do all the KYC checks for eBay in Germany, but also actually for most marketplaces that are consumer to consumer. And if you're selling something on eBay, just say a couch for 100 euros, the PSP is required to check who you are and whether you actually say who you are and whether your bank account belongs to who you say you are. And if you're not willing to do like a fancy bank API connection, then they're going to ask you to take a picture of your debit card or your credit card to check, is your name actually on there and is this document legit and are you holding it? And these are also these small processes in a chain where there's a big decision tree, and they say if you're a consumer and if you're in this risk pattern and you want to check your payment card, then we need something that can read a payment card and check out whether the document is legit. And again, there we can play a role. And then if it's a business and they want to check if the Chamber of Commerce registry is there and still active, then there's another document that comes along. And so we solve different pieces of that puzzle.
Absolutely love it. KYC, let's do a quick acronym check. KYC.
Yeah. Know your customer, or KYB, know your business. So these financial services are required to know who they're in business with.
Absolutely love it. So it's debit cards, it's Chamber of Commerce records, it's passports, it's photos. It's
Exactly.
extracting information from all of this, right, RJ?
Yeah, and when we're talking to, let's say, an insurance company, we often start with the fact of where are you probably have like a desk of something, right? Like a compliance desk or a fraud desk they have, and there's dozens of people doing they process damage claims. So you're a damage insurer, somebody says my fence got destroyed by a storm, and then they ask you for proof, and you might take a picture of your fence or deliver a document with the original value of the fence, let's say. And these are documents that are all checked manually. Often they're probing it, so they're only checking maybe 10% of the documents, and the rest they just accept is correct. But now with IDP, we can say we check 100% of the documents because we have the resources, and we only spot the ones where we think there might be something wrong, either because we see something odd in the metadata. For example, the adjustment date is different than the creation date. That's a red flag. Somebody looks at it. Well, it might be a good reason for it, or it might be an indicator of fraud. So then we can check the entire stream, do it more efficiently, and only focus on the one that might have fraud.
That is
so the business case starts with the people, the desk, and then we think, hey, how can we make that more efficient? Because the people are probably still going to be there checking it, but we can help them check the right document instead of just a random sample set.
And at the core of what you're saying, there was something you said about, like, because we've got the resources, we can check 100% of them, and that's the kind of the power of IDP, isn't it? Is that you can check 100% of the records, and you can get some sort of statistically reliable rate at which you can be confident about those, and then those that you're not sure, you can go back to human in the loop and get that real kind of human checking, right?
Yeah, that's the cool stuff. It's unlimitedly scalable. So there are peak days, for example, when in some countries there's a VAT deadline. Then there's days that we process millions of documents, sometimes an hour. Like it goes
Wow.
high peaks, but everything is so scalable nowadays, and that if tomorrow there's your fraud desk gets a big load of checks, then we can still handle that and don't get overloaded.
Super cool. So this has been absolutely brilliant. RJ, you're a legend, and so are the whole team at Klippa. We're so glad that you're part of what we're doing here at SER Group. For everyone watching, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all those things that your favorite YouTuber or TikToker says. And please do stay tuned for the next episode, as my man Dr. Dre would say. And here, I'm just going to give you a little tease of Klippa.
The merch, nice.
I'm wearing the merch, and this is metaphorical. This is the engine that has supercharged the Doxis experience. Woohoo!
Bye.
Thank you, RJ.